Hi, I'm Isaiah Crawford, and today I'm going to be talking about the moon and its many different phases. This lesson goes along with Tennessee Science Standard-5.ESS1.4, which states, explain the cause and effect relationship between the positions of the sun, earth, and moon and resulting eclipses, position of the constellations, and appearance of the moon. So we have this we also have this note-taking guide that goes right along with the notes that you can use, but don't freak out if you don't have it because it goes word for word with the slide, so you can just jot down the notes as we go along from the slide. So let's continue. What we're going to learn today is how the way that the earth, moon, and sun are positioned affects the moon's appearance, the many different eclipses of the moon, and what the names of each phase is called. Then we'll put our knowledge to the test and do an activity using our newfound knowledge of the moon phases and Oreo cookies. Who does not love Oreo cookies? So if you like milk, get a glass of milk and get ready because we're going to have a great time with some Oreo cookies and making the moon phases. What is the moon cycle? The moon cycle is the way that the moon appears in the sky because of the position of the sun, earth, and moon. If you are to look up in the sky on different nights, you might notice that the moon looks different. The reason for this is that the moon rotates around the earth in a similar fashion to the way the earth rotates around the sun. How long does the moon cycle last? The moon cycle lasts an average of 29.5 days. That is almost a whole month. That means that it takes the moon about 1 month to rotate around the earth. It also takes the earth approximately 365 days to revolve around the sun. That means in one whole year, the moon revolves around the earth 12 times. So that means you have a chance of seeing the whole moon cycle altogether 12 times a year. That's insane. How many moon phases are there? There are 8 moon phases. Each phase does not last long at all because the moon is constantly rotating. There are many different versions of some of the moon phases because it may take a few extra days from the moon to transition from one moon phase to the next. The moon is constantly moving and never comes to a complete stop. The fact that it is constantly moving and never comes to a complete stop is why the moon appears in different ways on different nights. Just to recap before we move on. How many phases of the moon are there? If you said there are 8 moon phases, you would be correct. How does the sun, earth, and moon affect the moon cycle? The sun, earth, and moon affect the moon cycle by the path of rotation that each object takes and amount of light that hits the moon while rotating the earth. How long does the moon cycle last? The moon cycle lasts 29.5 days, which is almost one whole month. These 3 things are very important to remember. So please remember these. Star these if you have to, just to remember that these are 3 of the more important parts. All right, the moon phases. Now we're going to get into the moon phases. There are 8 moon phases, all with different looks and positions as the moon orbits the earth. An easy way to remember the phases of the moon is like the Karate Kid, wax on, wax off. But in this case, it's wax on, waning off. The 8 phases of the moon are new moon, waxing crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous, full moon, waning gibbous, last quarter, waning crescent. So wax on. As the moon is going from being not lit up at all, it's slowly being more and more lit up because it's waxing on until it gets fully illuminated or fully lit up in the full moon stage. Then it's wax off or waning off as the moon is slowly starting to get more and more dim until it gets all the way back to the new moon phase. And then the cycle just repeats and repeats. Now we are going to start our activity, but I also want you guys to continue to jot notes down about the different moon phases. So get your cookies and your plate and your plastic knife or spoon or fork, anything would really work. And just get ready because I'm going to show you guys how to make the moon phases. And this is what it should look like by the end. The first moon phase is the new moon. The new moon phase is the beginning of the moon cycle. It is the phase where the moon is not receiving any light from the sun. The moon in this phase is in between the sun and the earth, which means that the side of the moon that is facing the earth is not receiving any light whatsoever, which makes it appear completely dark and makes it not have any light coming off of it. So how we're going to make this moon phase, let's get our first cookie, and you just take the top off, and you see how it's like that. You can set that off to the side because you will need this one later. Then this is our new moon. New moon has nothing lit up at all. See how just like the new moon, it has nothing lit up. It is all black except for the little light that's on it, but it's just all black. So put that onto your plate. And remember that that's the new moon. All right, let's move on to our second moon. The second phase in the moon cycle is the waxing crescent. This is when the moon starts to become visible again after the new moon. Remember, Karate Kid, wax on. In this phase, most of the moon is still not receiving any light from the sun, but it's getting enough light to make a crescent shape. The light is coming on, which is wax on. The light is starting to come on, and it's starting to transition into the new moon phase. So let's get our second cookie here. Let's take the top off, throw that side off to the side, and let's get our knife. And let's cut a little. I don't know if you guys can see this or not. Cut a little right there. And you want to leave the slim part right there. But you want to take the rest of it completely off. And then it looks like this, which is exactly the same way that our moon looks on here. So there we go. Next, we have our third moon phase, which is the first quarter. Then this is when the moon is halfway illuminated in the sky and is called the first quarter because the moon cycle is 1/4 of the way complete. In this phase, the moon is continuing to rotate around the earth and is gaining more and more light as it rotates. Now, let's grab our third cookie, and we will start looking at this phase. All right, our third cookie. Our third cookie, you can just see, I cut this one in half, and see that resembles that it is the first quarter by it being cut in half. It only has half the moon is illuminated. You can only see half the moon is lit up. So this resembles our first quarter. So let's get to our fourth phase, the waxing gibbous. And this is when the moon is almost fully lit up again. In this phase, the moon is getting closer to being the full moon once again. This is the last phase of the wax on portion because the moon is almost fully lit up. There's only one more. This is the last phase before the new moon phase. Now, let's take our next cookie and let's make the waxing gibbous phase of the moon cycle. So, for this cookie, you want to take a full cookie and just cut off like a little bit. You don't want to cut off too much, just a little bit. of the cream. See? That makes the waxing gibbous because it's almost fully lit up. You can see how there's barely any darkness left. It is so close to being fully illuminated again. Our next phase is, in fact, the full moon, which is the fifth phase in the moon cycle. This is when the Earth is between the sun and the moon, causing the moon to be fully lit up in the sky. Fun fact, many people have said that weird things happen on nights that have a full moon. And it's an urban legend that children are, in fact, to act extremely crazy on days that have full moons. Now, let's take our fifth cookie. We're going to open it, and then basically just the side with the cream is the full moon. And you just place that on your plate. Our next phase is the waning gibbous. The sixth phase in the moon cycle is the waning gibbous phase, which is the start of the lit up part of the moon beginning to get smaller. Remember, Karate Kid, wax on, wax off. But in this case, wax off is waning off, which means that the moon is going from the full illumination or being fully lit up of the full moon back to the darkness of the new moon. But it's happening very, very slowly. So, you want to take that off, the top part off, and you want to just take a little bit of cream off, and then that gets you to the waning gibbous, because it looks very similar to the waxing gibbous, but it's not. It's on the opposite side, and the darkness is slowly starting to take over the light part in the moon cycle. So, our next moon phase is the third quarter phase. The seventh phase of the moon cycle is the third quarter phase. In this phase, the moon continues to go back to the new moon phase. This phase is very similar to the first quarter phase in that the half of the moon is illuminated. The only difference is that the half that is lit up on the third quarter is the opposite half that was lit up on the first. Now, we're going to grab our next cookie, and we will make that. So you want to take it, you want to cut it in half, and just get the cream off, and only leave half of the cookie. And similar to the first one, which was like that, there's only half light shown coming from the moon, which resembles your third quarter and your first quarter. Now, our last phase of the moon, which is the waning crescent. This is the last phase of the Karate Kid waning off phase in the moon cycle. This phase continues to decrease in illumination from half the moon being lit until it is just a crescent. After this phase, the moon cycle will restart all over again at the new moon phase and go back from square one. So, we're going to take our next Oreo. We're going to open it, and we're going to cut almost all of it off. We're going to cut almost all of it off, all the cream. Make sure you get it off. And then, voila, you got the waning crescent, which is extremely similar to the waxing crescent, except it's on the opposite side than the waxing crescent was on. Now, let's reflect on what we have done. What did you think about this activity? Did you guys enjoy it? I enjoyed it. I really do love doing this activity. I remember when I was in 5th grade, I did this activity with my teacher, and it really helped me remember the moon phases and the wax on, wax off thing of the Karate Kid really helped me remember how the moon cycle went and what phase was what. Do you think the activity helped you all learn the moon cycle? I know it helped me. I hope it helped you guys too. What is one thing you learned today from this lesson? I hope you guys learned a lot from this lesson. I hope this lesson helps you studying the moon cycle and help further your education and help you just in general with the moon cycle. Because this is very important to the way our solar system is and the way that Earth is. Did you all enjoy this activity? I know I did, and I cannot wait to eat these Oreos. The finished product. This is what your finished product should look like, hopefully. See, as the new moon, there's nothing show it. The waning gibbous, the waxing gibbous, as the light is slowly turning on, is just a crescent. A waxing crescent, my bad. Then you go from first quarter, then to waxing gibbous, then to full moon when the moon is fully illuminated, then to waning gibbous, then to third quarter, then to waxing crescent, then you're back to new moon. This is what your Oreo cookie should look like when finished. On a scrap sheet of paper, or if you have the note-taking guide, I left the last sheet telling you guys how to do this. Go on there and draw what it looks like and label what the moon phases are. And this will help you be able to study and be able to learn the moon phases easier as you continue to study them. And when you are finished with that, you are able to eat the cookies. And I know that's my favorite part. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope this lesson helps you guys learn the moon phases, and I hope now you learned something that you did not know before. Thank you guys for your time and attention. Have a nice day.